Welcome to Alice Just Alice 55. You're listening to an AI-narrated audiobook version of my original story, The Unclaimed Werewolf, an Unbound Wolves novel, written by Alice N. Smith. Chapter 7, Where She is Seen. Nora slept lightly. She always did, but this time the sleep never settled into anything deep enough to lose the edges. The forest breathed around her the way it always had. Branches shifting, small animals moving through undergrowth, the steady hush of wind, through needles, but something underneath it stayed tight, like a muscle that refused to relax. She woke before dawn, with Morcel pressed against her ribs, his back to her chest, his breathing slow but alert. One ear flicked when her eyes opened. "You too?" she murmured. His tail thumped once. She eased herself out from under his weight. He followed immediately, stretching and shaking as if trying to fling off the last of sleep. The forest was gray with early light, mist clinging low to the ground. Everything looked the same. That didn't help. She moved through her range slowly, checking the places she always did, not because she expected damage, but because she expected the small signs carelessness left behind. Paths where feet cut too straight, water where scent pooled instead of moving on. The ridgeline where wind usually carried mistakes far enough to catch. There was nothing. She stopped. Someone had crossed her land and known how to do it without leaving themselves behind. Careful. That was new. She crouched near the edge of the clearing from the night before and pressed her palm to the ground. Cool, firm. No churn, no hesitation. Whatever attention had passed through here had done so lightly enough not to bruise the soil. Morsel sniffed along the tree line, hackles lifting once before settling again. He sneezed and looked back at her unsettled. "I know," she said. "I don't like it either." She waited for anger to come, or relief. Neither did. Instead, there was pressure, quiet and persistent, like weight added to the forest without anything visibly changing. She felt watched without a gaze to meet, measured without knowing from where. She straightened and shifted, the change quick and familiar, bones settling into a shape that fit the moment better. The forest didn't sharpen so much as simplify. She moved without hesitation, cutting a wide circuit through her range. She didn't rush, she didn't prowl. She left herself where it mattered. Tree trunks, stone, the low places where scent held, clear enough that no one could mistake the message. This land was taken. It had teeth. By the time she returned to the creek, the sun had burned through the mist. The forest looked ordinary again. That didn't mean it was. She shifted back and sat on a rock at the water's edge, letting the cold seep into her skin. Morsel dropped at her feet and gnawed thoughtfully on a stick, glancing up at her between bites. She scratched behind his ears, grounding herself in the familiar. "He's not coming back," she said, though she wasn't sure why she needed to hear it aloud. "Not like that." Morcel wagged, unconcerned with qualifiers. She stared out at the trees and thought about the word he'd used, unclaimed. Not a word she knew the rules for, but she understood the intent now. A way of naming absence. A space others thought they had the right to fill. Her jaw tightened. They could try. The forest shifted. Not suddenly. Not enough to trigger alarm. Just enough to remind her that nothing stayed unseen forever. Nora rose, brushing dirt from her hands. "Come on," she told Morcel. She didn't need warning. She never had.